So, hello, this is Andre Kent Jr. I want to address something about the company. All operating agreements from 2018 forward are what we're going with. Those are only operating agreements that we will use. The original operating agreement for Young and Dumb Entertainment was Lifeline Leaders and Sneakers and Ties Foundation, where excuse me. Um, but the original, when I first built Lifeline Leaders and Sneakers and Ties Foundation, I built them on the campus of, I didn't actually build them on campus, I built them as a student on campus of East Carolina University in 2014. I probably brought to the table, Lifeline Leaders was probably worth 1.5 million cash up front. Sneakers and Ties was probably worth 3 million cash up front when I first originally wrote the plan. I wrote the plans at Copper Beach, Joyner Library, Mendenhall, from my car and from work. I wrote them originally through Live Plan, and then after I brought that to the table, which in 2014 it was probably worth right before I got any loans into the company, it was probably worth anywhere from 5 to 10 million. While I was on campus in 2014, I was studying on campus at East Carolina University as a junior to enter the College of Business, and so I decided to take a loan out um, to cover my logos, stationery, buy equipment, learn about credit, do some of everything. And the max amount of money that I have ever asked for out of lending is $100,000. Now, in 2016, we went through some problems with the company from there in 2015 where we wanted to start a concert, and that wasn't the whole company. Our goal was to open up a startup accelerator and business accelerator, kind of like Indiegogo or Kickstarter or GoFundMe. At the time, we wanted to open up a whole platform, and we needed money to do so. We didn't want to be the middleman of the company. We wanted to be the company. So what we were going to do is do a concert at the Greenville Convention Center where there's 2,700 seats. Each of the pre-sales, there were going to be 200 pre-sales at 40, what was it, $25 or something like that. It was like 25 or $7, 5,000. And then 2,500 other seats at about $60, 65 dollars, which is approximately $162,500 plus the 5,000 with credit. That's a total of $502,500 minus the lending that we had, 120,000 would have left 382,500 minus that was minus the lending, minus the venue, minus the acts, minus paying people. We probably would have been with credit at a balance of 249,000 in cash and credit. And then we would have did one more event, and that would have left us with approximately $500,000. But we would have had credit card debt, but we wouldn't have owed any of the lenders. I didn't take that money. I took that money based off when I was in college. I was using my state championships, national titles, My affiliations with FBLA, PBL, Health Occupation Students of America, RHA, Student Government Association. I didn't use the Scout program at all to pull that amount of money out. With being a state champion and a national champion and a national title holder, that money should have been allotted anyway. In my opinion, that money should have came anyway. And if they weren't going to finance the deal all the way, then they shouldn't have took the deal. In 2016, after all the stuff went down with concert where they thought we weren't spending our money appropriately, and we would have been able to pay them back, but they also took the opportunity to mess up some events, so we would be stuck in debt forever, because on a credit card, the more interest earned, the more interest that the bank gets paid. But now I'm making 80% to their 27%, and or whatever it is, and it's just not fair. I did not agree to sell my company. In 2016, all the shares from the original Boneyard benefit concert, where the benefit concert, if it made 500,000, both of them, they would have probably where did the philanthropic commissions go? They would have went towards the business accelerator program that we were building on personal dollar. We would have been entrepreneurs on our personal money, personal dollar. It wouldn't have been owned by the school. So they probably would have made approximately $100,000 minimum just to invest in startup companies, where, you know, when you get on Shark Tank, they'd be like, a company's offering this amount of equity for $50,000 of their company, or $100,000 of their company, or $300,000 for their company. Where were you going to invest in startups with $100,000? Okay, outside of there, in 2016, Sneakers and Ties Foundation, the original one, dissolved, and all of the owners moved their shares over from the original concert agreement to Young and Dumb Entertainment, what is now Young and Dumb Entertainment, where Lifeline Leaders and Sneakers and Ties Foundation did not exist anymore. It became Young and Dumb Entertainment, the Young and Smart Company. The ampersand sign, we only use the ampersand symbol to make it look appealing, aesthetic, and make the company look appealing and aesthetic. That's the only reason why we use it. They're not allowed to use any of the materials from 2013 to 2017 to imitate anything that's happening after 2017, including 2018 forward. They can do the concerts and stuff, but all the concerts, festivals, and fairs, they have to be done and completed under Ticket Monsters Entertainment. And I also wanted to leave the note that if we owed investors 100, let's say we owe investors 300,000. Let's say we owe investors 300,000. The company website brings in 500 million a year through merchandise, aesthetics, advertising, sponsorship, independently. And I bought the company back in 2019 as Andre Kent Jr. That's Andre Kent Jr.'s company. He owns all the majority shares, and I'm Andre Kent Jr., but that's how you need to proceed the story. I own the majority shares on both the Young and Smart Company and Young and Dumb Entertainment. And let's say I owe the company 300,000. Okay, I didn't sign up for a 10-year deal with the lenders. I signed up for a few month deal that they didn't mess up with the lenders. So if they gave me if I was gonna make 500,000 off of it, let's say we all ended up with $100,000 at the end. After doing all the concerts and events, we ended up with $100,000 to spend on the company. Why did a majority of the work? So I felt like the shares and percentages, I told George at one time, I was like, well, we can reorganize the shares and equity when we're done, not up front, because they were so worried about their shares and equity. And I was worried about the aesthetics, the presentation, and the fact that they didn't do enough to get more equity than they had already received. So at $100,000, let's say that was remaining on the company after we paid back lenders and everybody. Okay, I would have put that $100,000 in a interest-bearing savings account at that time, after we had earned all of that money at 0.75%, if the bank was offering that interest, which I don't think they were offering that much interest at that point. But $100,000 at 0.75% interest, that's $75,000 a year. In 10 years, That's a minimum of $750,000 in cash from 2016 to 2026. That's just with the 100,000 that would have been left in there from doing the events. The events that we chose were concerts that could be done in the community, that could be pulled off really quickly, really simply, effectively, and efficiently with the correct team members. And then, uh, but even though we didn't, and then the other cancels got canceled out when we became Young and Dumb Entertainment. So there wasn't any Lifeline Leaders or Snickers and Ties Foundation anymore. We became Young and Dumb Entertainment, and then in 2018 we dissolved the company with the intentions to reopen at the appropriate shares. And then I reopened and I gave them the appropriate shares for the amount of work they were doing. They put up 100,000 and expected to be billionaires. Even the advisor at the time and the other owners, they were saying how much they wanted the company to be valued at: 200 million, 50 million, 100 million. Okay, I got you all the way up to those points. So even if you put $100,000 in the account and say, well, he owes us $100,000. Do you know how much he spent with $100,000? Do you know how much $100,000 could have bought me? Yeah, if you went through Alibaba and DHgate, it probably could have cost you a lot, but we're not as cheap as that. We're not that cheap. We're over here trying to buy $100 million building headquarters here. We're trying to buy a whole building facility for a couple million here. We're trying to buy equipment and stuff that costs $5 million here. Okay, that little $100,000 that y'all threw, I'm very grateful that they threw that. But $100,000 is not going to buy you $100 million building. While you alive and while you sitting there on campus trying to get your degree, while you trying to do partnerships and agreements with the school while you're a student and stuff. You made them wait 10 years to get their degree just because you wanted to prove a point about how much $100,000 was, when the original goal was to spend the $100,000 up front, not put it in a bank account and let it generate interest for 4 to 10 years while you're on school getting your degree. The goal was to invest the money up front, make the investors' money back, make the lenders' money back, and use the minimal amount that we had left to build up a company that could support ourselves through the college of business system without using the loans and without taking out loans or money from the college of business or from the school or from anywhere else, only from people that we know that we could get that money back to quickly. It wasn't to open up an entertainment network. It wasn't to open up any networks or media that would not pay us back. It wasn't, and you know, if you do things as the other owners or through the other ways that the contract was written, let's say somebody else was managing the contract. Dude, if you didn't bring back any money in, if you didn't bring back 2-3 times what was put up, you didn't do your job. You didn't do your due diligence. You didn't file the paperwork like you were supposed to. You didn't bring in the amount of interest that would have been expected from the company. You didn't bring in the amount that you needed to as an owner. You didn't do your job as an owner at that point. I, of course, as Andre Kent Jr., I did my job. But I felt like it was inappropriate to keep saying, do you know how much he spent $100,000? And then come over here and start talking about the Scout program. The Scout program wasn't included in Young and Dumb Entertainment deals. The Scouts weren't available. They weren't supposed to be in my deals. The Scouts weren't supposed to be on campus with me. They weren't supposed to be sitting on campus with me. The parents of the Scouts weren't supposed to be sitting on campus with me. The Scout program had no authority on campus. The Scout program had no authority over there where I was staying at Copper Beach. The Scout program should have had no authority while I was at East Carolina University. My parents shouldn't have had any authority while I was at East Carolina University making decisions on behalf of a student that's sitting on campus. That's absolutely unprofessional. I would never allow my parents or another party to my parents to come and sit on campus with me as a student, and they're not paying tuition, and they expect me to pay the student loans after I leave school. Have you lost your mind? Do you work in an administrative position? Have you worked as a college professor before? Have you worked as a university dean or a chancellor before? You will allow your parent, a parent of a child or a student, to come sit on campus and take classes beside them. Even as a royal, you will allow them to sit on campus with you. You might do that. I would never allow it. That's like trespassing on private property. especially with you not paying the tuition. And let's say at the end of the school degree and stuff, well, AJ, you didn't pay your tuition, so now your parents, they took out the loan under their name. So this, that, but why am I receiving bad credit for the student loans? If they took out the loan in my name, why am I receiving all the credit hits? You're dismissed. You're dismissed. You weren't doing anything. You weren't bringing nothing to the table. Just mouthing off, saying this and saying that. And it's funny because that $100,000. Remember how I was telling them that the scout program, that the Cub Scout should be at $2,500 a month. I told them I think a Cub Scout should be at $2,500 a month, which is $30,000 a year minus $6,000 to the household for just living and rent, minus another $6,000 just to get them to the organization, just to get them to meetings, just to get them camping, another $6,000 for life insurance, health insurance, dental care insurance, vision insurance that the parent has to pay. That's another $6,000 or more. Don't forget fuel, transportation, car insurance, travel insurance. By the time you're done, you probably got what to spend about $750 a month as a scout, but at least you got a car, a place to live, that your parents can't just say you're not doing anything by the scouts or doing this, that, and other. That's $24,000 a year as a scout. That matches the same thing that they're getting paid at Social Security for food stamps, WIC, low income, poor and low income housing. But I just compared them low income housing and people that didn't serve and people that need help and assistance to the Cub Scout program, because the Cub Scouts deserve that payment at that point. If you're paying and all the benefits you're paying to low income and poor people come out to about $19,000 a year, and you're not paying the Scouts as Cub Scouts anything, I don't agree. So with the Boy Scouts and the Eagle Scouts, let's say as an Eagle Scout, what age you stopped at Life Scout? Okay, let's say I'm making $75,000. If I stopped at a Life Scout, I was making $75,000 a year, divided by 2 for 20 years, because they kept me in the program anyway. I'm making $37,500 a year. Plus, I was a scout, a Cub Scout. That is, if you want to argue, that's approximately $61,500 a year in retirement, almost. Oh wait, don't forget, you gotta take this Cub Scouts and divide it by 2. So 12,000 plus, let's say 75,000 divided by 2 for 20 years, 37,500 plus 12,000. That's approximately 49,500 a year that I would not have to work for since 2007 at least. So since 2007, it's 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. That's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 years times 15. 49,500 times 15, that's 742,500. What would I do if y'all paid me out 742,500 right now? I go put it in an interest-bearing bank account at minimum of 0.45% APY, which is 0.45, which is around $334,125 a year. That's what I would do. I go put it in a bank account and I pay all my lenders and stuff back. I don't want them giving me forgiveness for free loan. I want them to state that I've earned forgiveness for free student loans, but I didn't want them to pay my student loans for me. Zero is not free. And forgiveness for a loan should be for championships, volunteer hours, volunteerism, community service. No, y'all did not do a great job at this. And the Scouts, you shouldn't have come over here, because if I'm at $334,125 a year, I'm outranking a lot of people, and the Scouts should have never been allowed on premises. If you weren't going to give me the $100,000 except through Scouts, you should have said that up front. Because now the Scouts are walking around like they deserve this, they deserve that, and they don't deserve this and that. Because as a chief executive officer, I was expecting my chief executive officer, whom was myself at the time, to be making $500,000 a year as a student on campus. Not as a student after school and stuff, $500,000 a year on campus. Not that I was old to it and experienced, I was completely new to the position. You need to check yourselves as the owners and stuff. We will only be using operating agreements from 2018 forward. from here on out. And I have the majority control. Anything that happened from 2013 to 2017 is what it is. It has a specific operating agreement only for those years.